This is the Poco F3, and even though it launched 7 months ago, this is the phone I compare all other phones with because of its high performance at a mid-range price, which at the time of recording is around $380 for the base model in the US. After using the phone for 4 months, this is my Poco F3 review. If you aren't familiar with Poco, it's a sub-brand of Xiaomi, which recently overtook Samsung as the largest smartphone brand in the world. So this isn't some low-quality off-brand device. And the F3 follows the very popular Poco F1 and F2 that came out in 2018 and 2020. Like those phones, the F3 stands out with its premium specs. But what I really care about are 5 things. Will it work properly in the US? Is it fast? Does it have a big bright screen? Does the battery charge quickly and last all day? And is the phone reliable? Will it actually work properly in the US? If you're outside of the US, feel free to skip to this time for the rest of the review. The Poco F3 has the proper frequency bands to work pretty well on AT&T or T-Mobile's 4G networks. And it even has 5G bands N5 and N41, which could give you 5G access. That's good. But what about support for voice over LTE? Well, I've been using the Poco F3 on Mint Mobile without any issues. Plus, I've confirmed with Mint Mobile's tech support that the F3 is VoLTE compatible and cleared for their network. Since Mint uses the T-Mobile network, it might be safe to assume that T-Mobile and other MVNOs that use T-Mobile's network are probably able to activate this phone. And based on what other US users have posted online, I think that's mostly true, except Metro for some reason. But I'm not so sure about AT&T and AT&T MVNOs, except that Cricket Wireless will definitely not activate it. There are users on AT&T that have activated the Poco, but it's not on AT&T's list of devices that it will allow on their network after the 3G shutdown. The list isn't 100% complete, but it's still not a good sign. Personally, I've been able to use the Poco F3 with Red Pocket and TextNow's network, but like Mint Mobile, both of those were using the T-Mobile network. Either way, I strongly suggest you do some research on your carrier's compatibility before you buy. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about with the frequencies and VoLTE, you can check out my smartphone compatibility guide linked in the description below. So is it fast? Oh, it is. And I always turn off all the animations and developer settings to make it even more responsive. With a Snapdragon 870, which is an overclocked version of the flagship Android processor of 2020, paired with 6 or 8 gigs of speedy LPDDR5 RAM and up to 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage, everything from unlocking the device to swiping around the interface and launching apps is just fast. Here's a quick comparison with the Galaxy S21 Ultra, a phone 3 times the F3's price, and navigation, launching apps, and loading content are all comparably fast. Does it have a big, bright screen? Absolutely. It's a 6.67-inch AMOLED display with a super smooth 120Hz refresh rate and a 360Hz touch sampling rate, which matters if you're gaming. It has a peak brightness of 1300 nits, which is definitely bright, and I've never had an issue clearly seeing the screen outside in the sunlight. And it looks nice and sharp with its full HD plus resolution. The only problem with the display is that it has a greenish tint at the top that's only noticeable when the brightness is very low. There are some articles about this, and it sounds like it's a manufacturing defect for some Poco F3 screens, but it doesn't affect my use at all. The battery, it charges fast enough for me. There's a 33-watt charger in the box that can charge the device from 0 to 100% in less than an hour. I never charge from 0 to 100. It's not good for battery health. I charge my device when the battery hits 20% and stop charging when it hits 80%, which takes about 30 minutes with the 33-watt charger. And even with only using a total of 60% of the battery capacity, I make it through an entire day most of the time. That's with streaming podcasts, watching YouTube, checking email, and just general use. By the way, if this video has been helpful so far, please give it a like. Thank you for that. Is the phone reliable? This is the only area where the Poco F3 has occasionally let me down. The Poco brand runs a lesser version of Xiaomi's MIUI skin of Android, which isn't bad, but it can take a minute to get used to. And for me, it's been more buggy than something like Samsung's One UI or stock Android like you find on Google Pixel phones. I've run into bugs like notifications occasionally disappearing, media controls either disappearing or showing up as a blank space in my notification tray, and for a while it would stop sending or receiving wireless network data. I could still make calls and send text, but I would need to restart the device or turn on and off airplane mode to get back on network data. I haven't had to do that in a while, so I'm guessing this was fixed in an update. That was the worst problem, and it's not a deal breaker for me. Just a few more things to note. The cameras aren't amazing, but I think they're perfectly acceptable. The speakers are good enough, and they sound nice and loud. No headphone jack though. There are some ads here and there, but they're easy to disable and not a big problem. Lastly, the Poco F3 should get updated to Android 12 and Android 13, but probably nothing after that, which I think is acceptable at this price point. All in all, I'd say this is a fantastic bargain of a phone. It does everything you probably need and more, and it does it as well, or almost as well, as phones that cost 3 times the price. Check out these benchmarks. The Poco F3 hovers around the top with phones like the Samsung S21 Ultra, Black Shark 4, Vivo X70 Pro, and the OnePlus 9R, all of which cost considerably more than the Poco F3. If the Poco F3 looks like a good fit for you, please check out the affiliate links in the description. And if you want to share your experience using the F3 or just ask me any Poco F3 questions, please leave a comment. And as always, I will answer it perfectly.